Thank you. All right, so we have some presentations today. And so our first one is going to be our Learning Academy presentation by Dr. Hale. Dr. Hale?
Good evening, Chairman, members of the board. We had our TLA Academy for 2 days in June 4th through 5th. And we thought a video would be the best way to capture what TLA was like. We always have a great time, but I'll go ahead and share this video with you.
Looks like Rusper.
And especially a thank you to Amy Abel and the committee. They just do a phenomenal job. They have it down, and we really, truly had the best 2 days. So much so that even the next week, I had teachers asking when will the proposals open for the next year. So we are very excited and also truly appreciate all of the hard work that it went into it. We also had student artwork that was on display. So it truly was a community effort, and just a thank you to everyone.
Thank you. And our teachers love it. If you all were there, you saw the teachers, spending time together, learning from each other. And we are in a people business, and the social, emotional health of our teachers is important. Giving them an opportunity to be together and grow together is so important. So thank you to everybody that put in the time and effort to make that great, because it was.
It was.
Yeah, I just noticed when I came, just all the positive energy. Just, it was just very, very fulfilling. So I appreciate that Campbell County does this, and it's become a thing. And so it seems to get bigger and better every year. So it's good. Thank you.
Yes, we already have plans for next year, so stay tuned.
All right, well, I think you're on deck for the next presentation, or Wellness Committee update.
Yes, this will be a very short update, but I did want to share with you information about our wellness initiative. Because of our change in insurance with Anthem for this year, we actually receive funds through our insurance to support wellness initiatives for the entire year, and we will get these funds every year. So this is a major benefit of our insurance, and it also includes Campbell County too. So it not only applies to our Campbell County school employees, but also to Campbell County employees. So I wanted to tell you a little bit of what we have started and are planning for this year. We were able in the spring to extend an invitation asking for a wellness champion from each of our schools, because we know at the building level how important that is. The committee met on May 15th. Amy Abel is a big piece of this, along with Rebecca Harrop, who is our nurse coordinator. And we were able to meet to really discuss what could we do for next school year, and also what are some things that we can move forward with and plan for, even to kind of kick things off for the year. We are focused on physical wellness, mental health wellness, really making sure we're taking care of our employees, preventative health, health education, but a big piece of this is also teamwork, team place culture that goes with it. And so these are a few of the things that we have planned so far that will actually start next week and have already begun. And so on the next slide, you'll see that we kicked it off at TLA. We did have a, who knew? A trail mix bar was the most popular, and if you came by, they were at the trail mix bar. We're actually going to do that at our Present to Success Week next week for our new teachers, because we want to give them that opportunity to learn about some of the things that we have planned. We also, for the first year, will have a Campbell County team, and this will also include the actual county as well as the schools to participate in whatever form, whether that's walking or running, for the 4+ as well as the 10-miler. So we are able to pay for their entry fees and have been able to work with the race director on that. It is scheduled for the 27th of September, so even if you're not walking and running, it is okay. You can come and cheer everyone on if you would like. And then we have begun strength training during the summer, partnering with Sam Price, who is also the race trainer. He was hired by the 10-miler for that. And also we have partnered with the Y. And so for the Y, for the Jamerson, Downtown, and the Express, we are able to give a discount to employees. And then Alta Vista has their own discounts and services that they provide for the Alta Vista area. And then next week, we have our family night at the Hillcats, so that we will be there. We have free tickets for our employees. You all are welcome, of course. And that will start at 6:30. And we will have a competition to see which school gets the most people there and do a drawing. Additionally, I will tell you, I am looking for someone who might want to throw the first pitch, so no pressure. But if you plan to come and you would like to throw the first pitch, you are welcome to do so. And I know that everyone would love that. So we're excited to have that. That is also coinciding with our new teachers starting. So we're also hoping to have good attendance with their families and just have a good time at the Hillcats. So stay tuned for more information, but we are excited about this work. And again, there are lots of people who are involved and really will be leading this at the school. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Let's have an update in about 6 months about how it's going.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
because the first
participation.
round finishes in December. And so I would love to be able to share an update and then additional plans that we have for the rest of the school year and the upcoming following school year.
Yeah. It's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I think we have a recognition.
We do have a recognition,
Yes.
and so I'm going to read this beautiful resolution, and then we're going to give out some rings to our state winners. So, whereas the Brookville High School speech team were runner-up on January 25th, 2025 in the Southwest Virginia Forensic League competition, and whereas the Brookville High School speech team were named the Region 3C champions on February 15th, 2025, and whereas the Brookville High School speech team were the Super Region 3CD runners-up on March 1st, 2025, and whereas the Brookville High School speech team won the Class 3 state championship on March 29th, 2025, thus be it resolved that the Campbell County School Board expresses its appreciation and commendation to the speech team for achieving the aforementioned accomplishments with class and excellence and in a manner representative of the high standards of Campbell County and Brookville High School. Be it further resolved that the Brookville High School speech team and coaching staff be given due recognition for their accomplishments. So congratulations to our Brookville High School. Y'all want to help me? Question me? Help me? So we'll come up here to the podium to give out the rings. And I hope I don't watch any names. I don't put on my granny glasses. Let me give this to you. So you have this. And I think we are missing one ring. And that's Xavier Colbert's because he is a 3-time state champion and not took a special order. So his ring is not quite here, but we'll make sure, Xavier, to get that to you, whether I do it personally on your doorstep, down the street, or we will certainly try to bring you back and recognize that, so that you've got that. But I want to let you know it's coming. All right, so my first one is Sarah Beaker. Donahue. Yes, Sam. Put your rings on.
Regular state champ.
Emily Emanuel. Megan Emanuel, our coach. Bobby Markey, I know he is out. We'll make sure that one of y'all get that to Bobby. Taylor Green. And Kaden Ferguson, another coach. Lucy Sloan. Jayla Wilder. There you go. All right, y'all slip them on. And the rest of the team, come here. Xavier, come on up here. He's got his 2 on, so at least he's representing that way. You guys can get more. Yes. I want to get That's good. Here, okay. Congratulations.
On behalf of the school board, I would just like to say that the school board never gets tired of recognizing student achievement, and we love state champions. So yeah, so we're very proud of you, and it's a great reflection on our county. We appreciate that. All right. So you're welcome to stay. It gets pretty boring from here out, but you're welcome to stay.
Thank you all for being here.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for all your hard work.
It's quiet.
And it clears out. That's okay. That's exciting.
That was cool.
I know Xavier got to pick a stone.
Right.
Just pick your stone. What do you want?
Did we have anybody else to speak? Okay. All right, then I guess we will start with our approval of the minutes for June 9th. I'll accept a motion to approve them.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or corrections on the June minutes? If not, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Payment of the bills.
Chairman, I reviewed the bills report as presented and recommend we move for approval.
Second?
We have a motion and a second for payment of the bills. Any question on the bills? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Acceptance of donations. Ms. McClanahan?
Tonight you have a list of donations for approval. Unless you have any questions, I ask that you approve them as presented.
Motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any questions on the donations other than appreciation? All right, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Non-resident tuition.
Tonight you have a list of non-resident students applying to be students in the school system for this school year, FY '26. So I ask that you approve it as presented.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions about the non-resident tuition? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Supplemental appropriations.
Tonight you have a list of appropriations. Unless you have any questions on those, I ask that you approve them as presented.
Motion for approval.
Second.
Go ahead, Kristen.
Motion by Mr. Jones, second by Mrs. Tanner, or Mrs. Parker. Any questions on the appropriations? If not, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. All right. Personnel report. Ms. Hunley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. You have the personnel report in front of you this evening. I will tell you that we're still hiring for our teaching staff, even though we're starting next Tuesday for our Cruising to Success Week. That starts our new teacher week next Tuesday. We did have a couple of last-minute resignations this month, which were a little disappointing, but we're going to be fine. We're going to get those filled, and our schools will be ready like they always are. But we do have a couple openings still to fill. And as always, at this time of year, we're still working on our classified staff as well. So unless you have any other questions, I'd ask that you approve it as written.
Any questions for Mrs. Hunley?
No, yep.
He's here.
We'll just ask Dr. Rinaldi. School bus drivers.
7. We put 7 short, full, and part-time. We picked up 4 this summer between 3 in our CDL class that we did, and a gentleman transferring in, moving from out of state who had a CDL and drove a coach. So yeah, this is not in a bad position as compared to the previous years. Better than the previous couple of years, so knock on wood on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for asking.
How many more do you want or need? How many more drivers do you need?
Like to have a bench, I'm sure.
7 part-time, full-time, with,
Okay.
you know, make everything a little bit
Yeah,
better.
okay,
Yeah, that gives us some reinforcements is what that does. It
Yeah.
doesn't run
Okay.
so thin.
okay, good, good. All right, well, with that in mind, let's ask for a motion to approve the personnel report.
Motion to approve.
A motion by Mrs. Vaughn, and a second by Mr. Jones. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Hunley. All right, first reading of some proposed policies. Dr. Hale.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the board. Tonight you have several policies that are up for first reading for July. I did want to give a little summary of some of the main highlights of each that are related to changes with the Virginia Code and other updates. The first one, DJF, I wanted to draw your attention to. This is to reflect changes in the Virginia Code regarding purchasing procedures. This was recommended by both VSBA and our school board attorney. It includes updates to contracts. It also referenced the forbiddance of child labor and also contracts for IT goods and services that are required for the state. So that is a summary of that policy. EB is related to school crisis. The first change is very small. It allows the school safety audit team to meet with law enforcement on site. That has always been our practice. It just puts it in policy. We have a very strong relationship with our sheriff's office. There are more significant changes, though, related to the athletic emergency action plan, as well as cardiac emergency response plan. It also provides guidance for those plans and also ready access to bleed control kits. This change is in the legal code, and you'll also see how it impacts other policies that follow. It impacts EBBA. This is your emergency first aid and AED CPR certified personnel. It outlines their required training and also requires from safety drills, which is EBCB, that there is a sudden cardiac arrest drill. So that is included. Related to some other changes that have to do in the E section of the policy is EBCB. This is a new policy for opioid antagonists. It allows for the usage of these if there is that situation that requires the use of them. This would mostly be Narcan, and outlines procedures for maintenance, inspection, and record keeping. We have already been doing this. This outlines that policy and also makes sure that there's a procedure for the maintenance of the Narcan at the school. For GAB, which is also IIBEA, because it's for both staff and students, this is related to our computer usage and acceptable use. These were needed changes for both students and staff since this had not been updated since July of 2013. It also puts us in line with the governor's order regarding some of the concerns with some of the other sites that can be accessed as well. So that is one that you'll see in both places because it's for staff. In addition, it is for students. JJAG is Student Athlete Extreme Heat Safety and Protection. This is a new policy. It is required by changes in the Virginia Code, and essentially we will be following the VHSL policy for that. And so that is the policy that is used, and this has to do with outside athletic practices and events. We have had some very humid days in July. We start football next week. So it's very much, we follow that practice, but this puts it clearly in procedures. And then the other one that is, it's a new policy, but it's not a new requirement. KJD. This is a notification of school-connected overdose. You'll remember the governor's order that required this related to fentanyl, and this has been required, but this puts it in actual policy. And this is related to school-connected overdose, is what it references there. There are a couple of other policies in there, but these are the more substantive ones that I just wanted to draw your attention to, especially because one change here impacts other parts of our policy. There's no action required for any of these policies tonight, but I will be happy to address any questions that you might have.
Anybody have any questions?
The school-connected student overdose, is that strictly on the school property, or if they
No, it can
buy
also-
something at school and take it home?
It could
It's traced.
apply to athletic events, so it can, school-sponsored events is what it is referencing. If it was that type of situation where it was connected to the school as far as the source, then I would say that that would fall under the purview of that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I've got a list, and mainly I'd like to just dig a little bit deeper on how we implement some of these policies. On DJF, there's a lot of language about, in the contracts, about sexual predator or whatever. Who actually reviews these contracts? And do all vendors have a contract?
So this is specifically referencing purchasing procedures, and so if this policy is updated, whenever we issue an RFP, it will also have to be done. And we work with the county for some of those pieces because they do that as well. And so we are required to review that with our contracts.
And we
And
review
it's-
the contracts. Dr. Hill will review them, I review them, and then we normally send them to David Hawkins.
Yes.
He reviews them as well.
And whatever contractor, they're certifying that none of their employees.
Correct.
So there's I guess, form letter language that the contractor's already familiar with?
Correct. And if these changes are implemented at the second reading, then that will trigger the initial changes within that and for all of our future ones.
Okay. And so even a small local contractor that's used for buildings and grounds or whatever, they have to
Correct.
fill this out and
Absolutely.
certify that none of their employees fall under these categories.
And they do that now.
Mm-hmm. They do.
Good, well, good. That's
Yes,
why
we already have this practice.
I just
yes.
wanted to dig a little deeper
Have
on
we
it.
ever done a random and pulled somebody and see how they checked?
When we have the audit, I don't know that they necessarily pull it
Not
that
really.
way, but we do, but it is a part of our language.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. And, all right, on code EB, the audit committee that we have, I don't have, I've got your summary instead of the actual reading, but it listed parents, some teachers, parents, administrators. Do we have representatives from all of those?
So each school is required to have a school safety team, and so they are required to do this work. Sometimes it can be a teacher that is a parent who serves on that. They have great insight for these as well. So that is what is required for our school crisis teams.
Okay, all right. And the AEDs, do we have AEDs in all of our buildings?
We have AEDs in all of our buildings. We also, our trainers, athletic trainers, have portable ones. But the other piece that we are already looking at for purchasing is if there's an extra that might be needed, given, I mean, some schools, it's right here, right? You know, we're all playing right near each other. But if we have different sites going on concurrently, we need to have ready access to portable AEDs.
Do they have one at the maintenance shed and JJ Frey?
They're required to have them.
Okay, good. So every building.
And this is really referencing school, this is for schools, is what they are addressing here, for this, for your
I'm
school.
talking about Campbell County Public Schools, which.
You mean all of the buildings
Yes,
per se?
yeah.
Yes,
Okay,
I believe every school's got one mounted. at
they have
least.
one mounted, mhm,
Nurse has one, trainer has one.
Correct.
So I believe there are at
Good.
least 3.
good.
At each building.
and you're required to put who's trained on there, so that it's readily
So
accessible.
elementary, if you don't have a trainer, you have 2.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, good. No, that's why I said I wanted to dig a little deeper.
Mm-hmm.
And, all right. And this new athletic emergency plan,
Mm-hmm.
which is new, are we up and running with that?
So Dr. Wilson is meeting with trainers to finalize those procedures. We're pulling the VHSL language into that. And so yes, but they've been required, these plans are not new per se. It's the final edits and then adding the humidity, the piece for the heat. And they're meeting later this month.
All right. And there was language about stop the bleed. Do we have stop the bleed training specific?
So we have, that is incorporated into our first aid. We do know that we need more access to bleed control kits in our buildings, because if you have it just near the main office, we may need it way down the hallway.
Right.
So Dr. Ranella already had talked to our principals about the need for others. They have been purchased also through our nurse coordinator, so that way they are accessible. Bleeding is a part of first aid training.
Okay. And do all the teachers get that? Or?
The teachers do a modified version because that's what's required for licensure. Our nurses are required to have the full version in addition to our trainers.
So the trainers have full training, the nurse,
Correct.
any
And teachers have, it's just a modified version. They have to do the CPR, they do those components, but it's not necessarily the full day. We also have teachers in our buildings who teach CPR, and they, as CPR instructors, they're required to have the full training, and we work with Centra for that.
Good. All right. All right. And there was also language about funding from the General Assembly. Are we getting funding?
It's a great question. We have not seen that is included. However, we need to dig deeper for that.
Okay.
There's not clarity on where exactly those funds are coming from at this point. We are hopeful that maybe it will.
Okay.
Regardless, we're going to initiate the
Yeah,
safety things we
okay.
need to do.
And you briefly talked about Narcan. Do we have plenty of that in the?
Yeah, so the way that we've been doing it, we work with the Lynchburg Health Department, because anybody, like you could yourself
Yeah.
as a citizen go to get that training. And so we have our SROs are trained, our nurses are trained, we also have administrators trained. What this does, it really gives you a clear procedure for making sure that it's maintained as it should be, and also that everyone knows how to keep it, how to maintain it in the school.
All right. And so on EBBA and EBBC, which is referencing a lot of what we've just talked about, in our language, it says we need to have at least one, and you're indicating we
We have
have more. But I would like the discretion of the board, I would like our policy language to reflect at least 2, because just so that, if that person was out, Yeah.
And we're already doing that, so I can easily make that update. It would go back to first reading next month, which is fine.
Okay.
Mhm. It's not a problem at all.
So unless anybody objects, I would like.
Sure, I'll be
Campbell
happy to
County.
revise that.
All right. And then the one last question, this was on GCE about long-term, there was language in that I didn't understand.
So this is a positive change, not that they're not all positive, but this is basically giving us a latitude for long-term substitute teachers. And so it allows basically that those substitute teachers can fill in for a long-term situation for more than 90 teaching days. It really will help we've already been doing this to the best of our ability that we can, but this really just lets us have more latitude when we need a substitute teacher for a longer amount of time.
Well, there was language that said if they had a license within 10 years, they couldn't, let me see if I can specifically get it.
Yep, it's on the first page of that GCE where it says.
It says not meet the qualifications to apply for provisional, or we now use 10 years is what the state uses for licensure. So if it's beyond 10 years, then you have to do other things to get basically certified again. So it's saying that unless otherwise noted, substitute teachers who have the more than 90 days must also hold this and not meet those for a provisional. And it has to do with the application with the state for that license.
Can I add there with licensure? So these are our teachers that do not have a bachelor's degree, so we cannot yet put them on an interim contract and put them in iTeach to get that alternative route to licensure. So we keep them as a long-term sub until they graduate with a degree and we can start their licensure fast. I'll tell you, since I have been in personnel, so for 7 years now, going into my 8th year, we've only had one incident where a teacher went beyond 90 days because usually the long-term subs we're hiring for the beginning of this year, they're graduating in December.
Correct.
So they're just, we're hiring them as teachers in lieu of their student teaching. So now what this new policy is saying, if you go beyond the 90 days, it has some language in there that you have to provide training, which we do.
Correct.
They are covered in training.
Okay.
But the 10-year licensure part, I think that's just saying if they're not eligible for a
For
10-year
license.
license, this is.
Which is
what
the
happens.
standard license for a teacher now.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we've only had one person that has gone beyond 90 days, and we're covered with all.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, that was all the questions I had. I'm sorry that it took so much time, but
No, and I will update the policy that you referenced to say at least 2, and that'll go back to first reading. Okay.
great.
Yeah. So, and if you think of other questions in the meantime, please don't hesitate to reach out. And yeah, thank you.
All right. Okay. Report of the superintendent.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I'd like to thank my staff for stepping up really this summer. As you all know, I've been out for a few weeks with a knee replacement. And if I'm getting a little fidgety up here and there, you know why. Since being back, you see Amy and I beside each other, and it's kind of like two different people. You see the Flash running around, and then you see, I don't know if you ever watched Carol Burnett and Tim Conway shuffling around like the old man. She's doing laps around me. But anyway, we had leadership conference week before last, and that's with all of our administrators, and it went very well. And she led that. And again, I appreciate my staff. I know Dr. Wilson, Dr. Ranella all had a big hand in that. So thank you all. At our last meeting, I brought to you what Campbell County charges out-of-county tuition payers. And tonight I wanted to come back, I told you I'd come back with a recommendation. And since then, one of our neighboring counties has reduced their tuition from almost $4,000 to $500 to be more in line with their surrounding counties. So my recommendation at this point would be to sit tight.
Stay.
I think some of you felt that way anyway, and we'll just continue to monitor that year after year, take a look at it and see if we need to adjust in the near future. But my recommendation now is sit tight where we are, and appreciate every kid we get from out of the county, and that helps with ADM and student enrollment, so we're thankful. We had a great turnout for summer school. During that time, we had about 534 elementary students show up. We had 198 middle school students show up and 158 high schoolers. So that's quite a large number of kids coming out for summer school. And during that time, we had 125 credits earned at the secondary level, so very successful. I wanted to give you a brief update on Brookville High School, and Christine, you chime in. I know that we had several people who were in the building last week and got very alarmed looking at the state of construction. When you see holes in the floor and dirt and pipes underneath the foundation, it can be concerning when school's starting in 3 weeks. But it sounds to me like things are moving along. We're in a much better place this week. I have my weekly construction meeting tomorrow, so I'll put my eyes on it again, but I think we're going to be okay. Obviously, we're going to start school in a few weeks, and we have to be okay. We may have to alter some of our plans. We were planning on moving the main entrance from where it has been to the cafeteria, enter into that side area, and also have that area, the old cafeteria, as a new administrative office while we start doing demo work on the existing main entrance. But we may have to punt that because we're not quite ready, and that's okay. If we have to do that, we'll plan on making that transition to potentially fall break, and that's okay. The main thing is that we're safe, all of our kids are safe, and we can have class while still doing renovation. But I think we've progressed a lot, and we're going to be in a good place. So have faith.
Is the cafeteria up and running?
Cafeteria's up and running, yeah.
Good.
Cafeteria looks great. And while we're talking about it, I do want to plead to any of our parents. Just please understand that parking is going to be limited there again this year. I know it's an inconvenience, but at the same time, we've only got as many spots as we've got. And so if you get a spot, okay, I'm assuming those go out to our seniors first. If you don't get a spot, then please consider riding the bus. Please consider being a car rider or even carpooling. But please, 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 please do not park at one of the stores near the school and walk across the street, okay? That is not allowed, that's not acceptable, because it's not safe, okay? And we don't want to inconvenience anybody, but at the same time, we don't want to have any accidents either. So please, again, if you don't get a parking space, I'm sorry for the inconvenience, ride the bus, be a car rider, or carpool, please. On Wednesday, we're expecting Box Modular to drop off our modular unit at Brooknell Elementary School. We've got everybody lined up to start making those connections as soon as that modular is set. So we're thankful that that's going to be done this week because new teachers start next week. So we're coming down to the wire, but I think we're going to be in a good place. So anyway, just wanted to update you on that. And then I'm sure that most of you have heard that the federal government has put a freeze on some of the title funds that we normally receive in terms of our title grants, Title I, II, III, and IV. I did hear today that some of those funds have been released in terms of Title IV, 4B. I don't think that impacts us very much. With the other title funds, we still have about $500,000 that we're relying on to come through eventually. But at the same time, we really don't start that fiscal, cycle until October. So we still got a little bit of time. And from what we know, these funds are under review. We've not been told that we're not getting them, so we're not going to hit the panic button until we have to. But that's where we are. And like I say, some of those funds were released today, so that's a good sign. Other than that, just a reminder, we've got new teachers coming in next week, and we spend an awful lot of time during that orientation and getting them off to a good start. Love having new teachers back. And then on July 31st, we plan to start letting students and parents access their students' schedules. So that's always here we go, we're back. August 6th, we have our back to school open house, and then our next meeting will be August the 11th. And that is also our orientation day for pre-K, kindergarten, 6th and 9th graders. So that'll be an exciting day to have a meeting and a report back on. Just a heads up too, at our next meeting, or some of our meetings in the future, our next meeting, Dr. Wilson is going to present to you two programs that are going to be a big part of student support in the near future. One of them is the CAST program, which is coping and support training. And that's basically for secondary students who might be considered at risk of substance abuse, things like that. And the other one is a program called Care Portal. And Care Portal is something that basically we have professionals in the school division who can register or identify students who are in need, and then that need is sent out to local churches and other organizations who might be able to help meet those needs. So he's going to share with you a little bit about those programs at our next meeting. And those are going to be funded by the Board of Supervisors and some of their abatement funds that they get on a regular basis as a result of settlements with pharmaceutical companies and other things. So they approved that at their last meeting. That just happened last week, right? And again, we'll share with that at our next meeting. And then we're also going to share with you what we're doing when it comes to AI technology. Okay, I mentioned to you before that that was going to be something we kind of start dipping our toes into this year, and we're going to do it for our teachers, a program called Magic School. So our technology staff is going to show you what that looks like, okay? And also give you some guidelines that we've put in place to kind of monitor what we're doing with it and how we want to roll it out. So that's all I've got.
Great.
Yep.
I think, who did I start with last time? Let's start with Mr. Maddox.
I'm quick. I'd just like to thank Brad and his maintenance staff for all the work they've done all summer. We're like a bunch of little ants. They're everywhere. But that's all I got.
Okay.
Yep, not a lot tonight. Heard from Mr. Shields at Rustburg High School. They had 40 rising freshmen attend the Freshman Bridge program. And then they had over 150 students attend summer camps between volleyball and the girls and boys basketball. So a lot of camps going on this summer to improve our sports programs this coming year. And also from Ms. Brown at Yellow Branch, 76 out of 85 students who enrolled in summer recovery program attended every day on a daily basis. And something neat they're doing for the 4th year, they're doing the welcome wagon visit, where a group of teachers goes out and visits all the pre-K and kindergarten students at their homes on the 23rd. So that's a neat thing they do that's coming up. And they drop off a welcome bag and get them excited to welcome them to school. So that's all I have.
Ms. Vaughn?
I don't have a lot. Even though it's summer, there's still a lot happening as everyone gears up for back to school. The first day is just around the corner on August 12th. Construction at VHS continues to move forward. Congratulations to VHS speech team and their state championship. Again, what an incredible accomplishment. We're proud of all of the hard work happening across the division and look forward to a strong start to the new school year.
Just a couple shout outs to some administrators. So I met with Dr. Boyle from Leesville Road, and she is meeting with all the teachers, she's meeting with the teams, and really creating some policies to put into place for some, putting some things on paper that we haven't had in the past, and so we're really excited about that. I think that she's been very welcomed into the community and into the culture, and the teachers are looking forward to what she's going to bring to the table, so we're excited about that. And I was at the high school this morning after I had no signal at 4-H camp all last week. A few times I got in touch with Clay, but that was sparse and hard, and so I missed the hole, but I got pictures. I will say that I was expecting a lot worse when I walked in, and I think if I had walked in last week versus today, I would have been more stressed than I was. But they were smiling, and that was good news. But I want to shout out to our administrators at the high school, because they are really balancing a lot of, just your normal back to school chaos, but you add the layer of what they're dealing with and trying to transition and make it the best for these kids. Second year in a row. But this is nothing compared to last year. Like the look of the building is not I mean, granted, we've got a great downstairs. It's the upstairs now that is, you could close off that downstairs and keep rolling. That is not the case now. And so shout out and kudos to them for making it work and still doing what's best for the students. I mean, I was there when, they're asked, are you ready to move to administration from Southern Air? And she's like, no, like it's about the kids, it's about the teachers. They need their space first. Administration they may be on mobile carts before this is over because they're going to do whatever it takes, right, as the new motto. But shout out to the three of them because they are having to lead as construction supervisors, I feel like, in addition to the instructional leader. And they are doing an amazing job for our kids, for the teachers, and for the community. And I think even the teachers that are like, yeah, I heard there's a hole in the floor, but Christine's got it. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you know what? You're exactly right. Christine's got it handled. And so I want to shout out to them because they are balancing a lot and they are rising above expectations. So.
Again, I want to congratulate the Brookville High School speech team, outstanding young men and women, quite a feet. And it just seems like at the last meeting should have been like the end of the year or summing last year up, and we had the valedictorians and salutatorians, so it was kind of a continuation. But I just want to take a minute to express my appreciation to Dr. Stanley and Dr. Hale and all of y'all's administrative team, everybody in the central office and all your principals, across the county, for the great job you do. I mean, just the Learning Academy and everything you all do to help make Campbell County a stronger education. I just appreciate it. I mean, I read in the paper and see on the news other calamities of things in school systems, and I look at ours, and we seem to, like, I don't want to say it, so we plan ahead, we tackle obstacles and kind of try to do the right things at the right time, and I just appreciate it. And I think I'm speaking for other members of the board as well, but just don't think that what you do goes unnoticed, because we notice it and we appreciate it. And I think the citizens of Campbell County recognize it as well. So I just appreciate it. That's all I got.
All right, I'm going to make up for everybody tonight. I want to absolutely, Brookville Renovations, thank you guys so much. And I want to shout out, if I hadn't gone last week, I would have missed that it was Janitor Appreciation Week. So I think Christine and Roland for pointing that out to me, and I got them just a quick little thank you image. It's about all I could pull out in a day to get to the janitors of Brookville, but imagine what they're going through too with the administration.
The dust.
I mean, oh my God, it literally is like a dust bowl in there, yeah. Or it was last week. I'll go back. Maybe I'll stop by this week. But yeah, I know that everybody's done so well, and I appreciate. I want to thank the parents and the teachers and the students. I know that it's hard. Anytime I get a call and say parking's an issue, I'm like, I know, and if you can find me a lot and somebody who's willing to shuttle people back and forth, I would absolutely appreciate your help, but there isn't more land, there isn't even more parking there. I mean, I can barely park in front of my own office right across the street because of parking in that little area. But so I appreciate everyone's patience, and yeah, administrators, but the janitors too. And I heard also, I learned that during the summer that the janitors actually went and helped out at some of the other schools, because there was a couple times when there wasn't much they could do there. So I really appreciate Christine and the janitors at Brookville for doing that. Love the wellness. I just thought this would be, kind of a little ha-ha moment, but or laugh moment. But how about plus 50 chair yoga? Would be great for us over 50s. We would love some of that, especially at the school. I know some of the older substitutes might take that too. TLA was great. Also kind of another ha-ha. How many conferences has anyone in this room been to, or a learning type situation where everyone's having fun every minute of the day, instead of just trying to have fun and they like give you a sombrero to wear or whatever, and then you're sitting in this boring class, and no one talks to each other, and you can't wait to leave, and it is so opposite of that at TLA. So it's so much fun. For anyone who hasn't been, you definitely have to check it out. And thank you to obviously Miss Amy, but all the Amy's and the whole team for all the work they put into that.
I do want to send a prayer out to Tracy Daniels, the head counselor at Brookville, who just recently had a major surgery but is doing well from what I understand. And she will be sorely missed because she's freaking incredible in our counseling department. I did want to also mention payroll. I had 2 different local county board members reach out to us and ask how we got to number 2 in our lowest and our highest pay because they are losing teachers to us. And I thought that was awesome. So I was like, I don't know, they're doing great down at Central, you know, wink, wink, but I really appreciated that. And also had gotten the note from one of them last week about the reduction in their non-resident tuition dues because they felt like that contributed to their reduction in enrollment. Because imagine that, it's over $1,000 a year. Why wouldn't it contribute to your unenrollment? So, so again, hats off to Campbell County for keeping ours affordable, and people still can afford to come because they want to experience all the awesomeness here. To wrap it up, I wanted to ask, and I apologize to the board for, I didn't even think about this until I looked at my confirmation of going to the legislative meeting in September. So if we're going to the legislative meeting in September, then we need to have our legislation. I know we passed the amendments and things to be sent and discussed at the conference in November. But if the meeting's in September, I was thinking on the way down here, could we adopt that or vote on that? And I defer to whoever Robert's rules in the room, because we'll also be doing our legislative agenda. If we can just have that be the beginning of our legislative agenda, the same changes that we made, you know, the amendments that we approved, and the one new piece of legislation that we passed as a recommendation. If we could have that be the beginning of our legislative agenda, and we definitely want to at least do a first reading on our legislative agenda for August so we can pass it September meeting before we go to the legislative state meeting. That makes sense. Like the
It does.
timing's catching up to us.
Yeah, it does.
On that. So we don't have to really do it. I'd be happy to send it back out to everybody, you know, in twosies or whatever, and then ask for it to be a first reading at next meeting.
But it'll be the same as,
The same to start with, just from the board, unless someone else on the board has a recommendation, but then Clay and Dr. Stanley will see if there's anything else at their levels, you know, in their deep levels. Like, I know they were looking at, we were talking about some licensing, loosening up on some licensing, some different things, maybe in the retirement that is way over my head, and maybe even some curriculum. So I'll just check with each of you too, because I know I've talked to Karen and Kristen. They're a little bit more in tune in the curriculum side than me, because I've never done that part. But I just want to make sure we don't forget about it and we discuss it at next month's meeting.
From a Robert's Rule standpoint, we can adjust that. Like we can,
What?
from Robert's Rule standpoint, we can bring that up as the initial reading. We can adjust that.
Make that, because
Yeah.
we've already read it and approved it.
Yeah.
And then, so I guess we'll ask, I can make a motion to ask Dr. Stanley to bring a legislative agenda first reading to us in
September.
August.
okay.
Yeah.
And I guess we have to
it
have a
in August
second.
for the first reading.
Yeah, and then adopt it September, and it'd be just in time for that next meeting. So, do we need to make a motion, a second, and approve asking Dr. Stanley to bring it, or?
I would, yes.
Okay.
And make that on record for today.
Okay, then I would like to make a motion to ask Dr. Stanley to bring us the CCPS legislative agenda at the August meeting for first reading.
Second.
I'm sorry to dump that on, I was driving down here, I'm like, ooh, run out of
No,
months.
you're right. And that'll put us
Ms.
in the
Vaughn
queue.
seconded it, so.
Anybody have specific questions
No,
concerning that?
good.
Okay, all in favor of that motion indicate by saying aye. Any opposed?
Thank you, and that's it. I'm sorry I dropped that heaviness on us at the end.
No, I'm glad
it
that
fits
you're
in
on
with the way
top
it was
of the
today.
timeline. I'm glad you're on top of the timeline, so. Anything else?
No, sir.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right, well, I just talked with Mr. Harrison last week, and things are going good. He's got all his staff.
Said his custodial staff is working hard to put the finishing touches on the building. He wanted me to share his gratitude to 3 local gentlemen, Ben Updike, Cliff Mason, and Mike Waller, who generously donated their time and talents to complete several service projects around the school. Their work included painting multiple areas, pressure washing the exterior walkways, assembling new furniture, and helping prepare our cafeteria for 25-26, because it will be used as a cafeteria now, correct? And so all 3 are former Campbell County students who continue to live and serve the community. Their efforts were a powerful reminder of the quality and character we strive to instill in every Campbell County graduate. So thank you to those gentlemen and Brooke Neal. And he's excited, as always, to get the kids back in school and get going. And then I talked to Mr. Cartwright, and I don't know if the board knows, we've had some shuffling of the administration down there. And so he doesn't think that's going to be a big deal. We had one move up into the central office. So, and he wanted to share that 13 students successfully recovered 1 or more course credits, and 23 students participated in the middle school summer program. Very excited about the new STEM and manufacturing lab. I saw it when they had finished the shell, and it was a really nice room, and now it's got all the equipment in it. And I haven't seen it yet, but I'm going to try to get down there. And he's really anxious and excited, and it's going to be a show place. And they're also building a new, well, Mr. Cartwright himself was working on it today, building a new ticket booth, and it's timber frame construction. So I think he's quite proud of that.
Yes.
Still have 1 teaching vacancy in the business education, and everything else is good, and he's thrilled with the progress that's going on down there. Again, kudos to the Brookville speech state champions, and I would just like to echo what Mr. Jones said about central office. You know, for years, this board has been accused of rubber stamping everything. And it's not that we rubber stamp everything, it's that all the heavy lifting has already been done. And we have very little things that we have to put our 2 cents in, because you all have already thought about it ahead of time and taken care of it, and very proactive. This school system is not a reactive school system, it's a proactive school system. We tend to nip problems in the bud before they're even a bud, and I also really appreciate that. So, that's all I got.
And we're glad to have Dr. Stanley back.
Yeah.
Not that Dr. Hale and everyone else didn't do awesome, but we're glad to have back at the table.
All right, so on that note, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please close your laptops.
How did Kristen be good?
Way to go, Kristen.